Okay guys, just a very quick video this time, just for the settings I'm using most recently. These are for aggressive players, for fast-paced, get-in-your-face kind of players, specifically using weapons like the R99, Prowler and the Peacekeeper. It's pretty much the only three guns I really use these days, just for fun really. So if you don't use those weapons or it's not really your playstyle, then it probably won't be that good for you because there's very minimal aim assist on this config. I find that helps me to have as little as possible, especially in close range fighting. So that's why I've gone for it. Anyway, I'll stop rambling about that and get into the settings. As you can see, we're using the Titanfall 2 ST. Now, I've tried to use the latest ST, which is only available for PlayStation, not Xbox, with the new micro movements adjustment. And for me, the aim assist on that is just far too strong. It's almost like it's too good. It's like cut out stuttering or wobbling to such an extent where it's like a complete lock-on laser. So that can be useful for, I guess, if you're a longer range player and use the scout or something, then I'd recommend just sticking with the vanilla settings, which is basically an aimbot from far away. But I don't really like to play like that, so I've gone with this. Now, I could use the old ST. The only reason I've gone for Titanfall 2 is just I found that I've been able to match the dead zone pretty much bang on, I think, with this ST. And I think the dead zone in Titanfall 2 ST compared to the dead zone in the original Apex ST and the updated one is all slightly different. So essentially, long story short, you could create the same feeling using any of the STs. You would just have to know exactly what the dead zone's on and then apply the appropriate amount of boost. However, I haven't been able to find it on those STs, so that's why I'm using this one, if that makes sense. So, you know, the STs don't take into account aim assist. I see a lot of people say, oh, this one handles aim assist better. It doesn't. It just might mean that the dead zone is in such a place that it feels like it handles the aim assist better, but it's because of the dead zone rather than the actual ST, if that makes sense. Anyway, I've waffled enough. This is supposed to be quick. Okay, so this is the manager and the firmware version I'm using. I believe it's the latest beta one, but you can use the generic stock firmware and beta, or any manager and firmware as far as I'm aware. As you can see, it's on 1000 hertz. Just seems to work best for me on this with 1000 hertz, because obviously we're trying to cut out aim assist here, so 1000 hertz helps with that. It does work on 500 or 250 as well. I've tried it on all of them. I can't really notice that much of a difference, but so just use whatever you want really on that one. It's not crucial by any means. Let's get into it then. So for hip, we're using 22 sensitivity. There is no curve, default sync, and 1 steady aim. Also for the SAB, it's off. Now let me just talk through those real quick. So default sync, again, is to try and minimize aim assist a little bit. Common is also good. You can use that and just cut it in half. So go to 11 or whatever your preferred sensitivity is. However, default minimizes it that little bit, and that is the aim of this config, to get minimal aim assist. You can also use off sync, of course, and just multiply it. I think it's by 4 or 8 or something like that. But I still find default seems to work the best for this. Steady aim is at 1 because I feel like that helps entry and exit from the hitbox on a player, especially with the Peacekeeper. That's the one I've noticed it the most. It seems to affect. It just does things with the window, the aim assist bubble, which aid. Now you can take that off if you don't really like that feeling, and obviously adjust it, maybe add more if you want. But for me, that seems to be about the perfect number on hip with this setup. Also, I really like SAB off. Now, a lot of you won't be used to that, and maybe you've used up to 25 roughly on hip. Now that gives you quite sticky aim assist on hip, which again can be useful in some situations, but when you're trying to hit like flick shots with a PK or stuff like that, it kind of causes issues around the bubble. So for me, I think just getting used to having it off does feel really good. It also really helps with Pathfinder, like using his grapples. You can more accurately control where you're going, and obviously get faster as well. So once you get used to that, and there is a bit of a learning curve of having it off, it might feel a bit weird at first. You can really laser people with just hip fire, as hopefully I've shown you in a couple of my videos. You do have to control it more. You can't rely on the lock-on aim doing that for you. You have to obviously move your mouse. But I think, yeah, it really benefits for hip fire with Prowler, R9 and PK once you get used to it. But again, anywhere up to 25 you can use if you want to adjust that. So aim down sight, you can see inherit is ticked here, and that means that SAB is also off on aim down sight. I would recommend anywhere between off and 100 if you like that lock on feeling a bit more. But again, we're not trying to do that with this config. So off is the best feeling for me. There's nothing on here. I got 15, no curve, again on default. And this is where the only slight change comes in from here. I've got steady aim at 1.6. This is where I've spent most of my time focusing on trying to get the perfect amount. I feel like 1.6 is bang on. It means that with the R99, you still, if you place your crosshair on someone with your hip and then you ADS and it's on steady aim 1.6, you generally will still get that lock on. Like, you will not come out of the hitbox. You will be able to absolutely fry people as long as you got your initial crosshair on them on hip. And it sort of doesn't compromise on trying to swipe across people. So if you ADS with the PK and then swipe across someone, trying to get that hit, I feel like 1.6 is the perfect amount. By all means, experiment. You might find something different. And 10 boost, again, that just initially helps. I don't think it's absolutely crucial to this config, but I like that tiny little extra boost. It goes well with the dead zone, I think, of the in-game settings and the Titanfall ST. So yeah, give that a go. See what you think. I've got a sniper button where basically it just increases my ADS sensitivity just slightly. So I basically use that when I'm going to use the Kraber or something because it's not high enough, you know, so I can do sweeping shots. That's all that's for. You've seen that before on one of my other config videos probably. And then there's my heal wheel. I use the key O to heal, and on this I just have it with boost set up and quite a high sensitivity. Just helps to be able to select what I need to do very easily. And I think that's it. So DPI is still 4000 on the mouse. I did experiment with higher DPI because obviously that's supposed to change aim assist, as in get rid of it a little bit. However, I didn't really have that experience and I felt like my aim suffered a little bit. So I kept going back to 4000, and that just feels like the perfect number for me. So I've stuck at 4000 DPI, 1000 polling on the mouse, 1000 hertz as you can see, and I think that is everything covered. If I've missed anything, by all means put it in the comments, and please feedback on this config. Let me know how it goes for you, if it's for you, and yeah, I'll keep churning videos out. If you guys could like, subscribe, all the various things that, you know, decent YouTubers ask for, then that would be really appreciated, because yeah, you know, I do spend quite a lot of time doing these kind of things, and ultimately, because I have hardly any followers and stuff, don't get any money out of it at all. So that's just the way YouTube works. Maybe one day, eh? Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Here we go guys, here's the in-game settings for you. I've got 96 FOV, that's pretty much a lock for me, rarely change that now. Here's the controller settings, here is the gameplay settings. Pause the video if you need to see that in more detail. Did I do audio? There it is anyway. And here's the money shot then, the advanced look controls. Okay, so dead zone is just one notch to the left. So I'll just show you. One notch. Out of threshold, one back. So very zero. And here for the response curve, this is the thing I really like, is 3 back from default. You can actually go 4 back if you really like that feeling, and it is really good for PKing and stuff, but I feel like it loses a bit at long range, so I stick with 3 just for a bit of balance. And you're used to all this by now. And there we go, that's the in-game settings.